Hello, my name is Dabao,
And I'm Hayden Umipig.
and we are doing a stock pitch on Vistra Corp, which has the ticker symbol VST, and it's in the utility sector. Here's some more information that we added onto our first slide: the investor relations contacts here at the bottom right, and also our contact and emails on the bottom left. For some brief history on Vistra Corp, its roots date back to the late 1800s in Texas. The company that eventually became Vistra was founded back then, and then along the way it picked up and merged with some other companies. It engages in electricity generation and retail and wholesale marketing, energy marketing, has a diverse portfolio of natural gas, coal, nuclear energy, solar, so it has non-renewable and renewable energy assets. It also has the largest competitive power generator in the United States at 41,000 megawatts, which is huge. Its operations are based solely in the US. It doesn't operate outside, and its operating revenue is 17.2 billion. It has 5 million customers and 6,000 plus employees. Overall, we rate Vistra as a buy with a price target of $179 for 3 main reasons. One, it has strong growth potential. As AI continues to grow, data centers are going to be needed to power this AI, and this is where Vistra and other utilities companies come in. They're going to power these data centers. 2, has a competitive market position. As the second best performing stock in the S&P 500 in 2024, we can only see this as more growth. It grew almost 260% last year. What's stopping it from growing now? Especially because it operates in the US. It also has a 32% market share in ERCOT, which is the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, which just serves and provides electricity to Texas. It has a diversified energy portfolio, and while it primarily consists of non-renewable energy like natural gas and coal, it's starting to grow its renewable energy assets like solar and battery. It also has Vistra Zero, and has plans to cut greenhouse gas emissions by 60% by 2030. For the industry analysis, Vistra competes in the utility sector, which is highly competitive. There's a lot of energy companies competing with it. In specific, it falls under the electric utilities industry. It competes in the power generation market, which in the electricity sector is valued at $500 billion, and it has a compound annual growth rate of 5%, which basically means it's going to keep growing in the near future. That's what people expect. And it's also almost certain that electricity will continue to be needed and will never become obsolete. As for the renewable energy market, Vistra has clean energy subsidiaries like Vistra Zero and Energy Harbor, which work to provide renewable energy sources to its customers. And for artificial intelligence, or AI, as I said, AI requires data centers to power its AI. So this is where companies like Vistra come in to power it and provide energy. As for its moat analysis, we regard it as a narrow moat, not a wide moat, because there's still some deterrence and there's still some competition. For example, regulations may begin to favor renewable energy, and while Vistra does have renewable energy, its assets mainly consist of non-renewable energy. However, we want to reiterate that AI is growing, energy is needed. Vistra might be the company of choice for these data centers. Some stuff to support this. Vistra has a higher operating margin than its competitors. As you can see from this bar graph right here, Vistra is in the blue. It's outperforming its competitors by a good amount, actually. As well as its brand identity with its subsidiary TXU Energy. It's a leader in the state of Texas. It's actually the #1 provider of energy in Texas. And also sustainability. As I said, it plans to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions by a lot in the near future. This is just the Porter's 5 forces analysis. I'll just kind of skim through this. The bargaining power of customers slightly significant for these reasons. The intensity of competitive rivalry is high. There's other competitors in this industry. The bargaining power of suppliers is pretty low because Vistra actually chooses its suppliers, and the suppliers come to Vistra. Vistra doesn't come to the suppliers. third of substitutes, kind of the same thing as competition. Same thing with the third of new entrants. The third of new entrants is lower or higher. The rating's higher because there's high barriers to entry for new companies. But the third of substitute is kind of the same as the competitive rivalry because it's competitive industry.
And as for Vistra's revenue drivers, it's driven by several key factors, and one of them Ian kind of already stated, AI demand. And just to reiterate, like, we believe it's poised to benefit from like the rise in AI and data centers that require electricity, as well as renewable energy expansion. And with the growing efforts to combat climate change, companies that impose solutions and sustainable practices are often viewed in a more positive light, as well as their diverse. Ian kind of stated this already too. Their diverse involvement in coal, gas, solar, and nuclear battery storage projects. We see them as a very good, diverse portfolio for them to expand. And as for their financial analysis, Vistra's financial indicate strong performance. Their operating margins and return on equity are both above 25%. And we expect that their growth has been 7 to 8% compound annual growth rate for the last decade or so. But we expect this to grow as AI demands for energy, AI demands and data center demands grow. And for Vistra's valuation, we set a target price of $179 per share. We see Vistra's very undervalued as it trades 8.5 EV/EBITDA, and the market average is 12.8. And Vistra's historical range is 6.5 to 12. So this indicates some slight undervaluation. Our relative valuation model, we found 118.4 to 186.48, and our price to books ratio for Vistra is 7.5. The industry average is 13.4. So again, kind of just showing how Vistra is undervalued compared to the competition, despite increasing AI demand.
As for the VCF valuation, you can go to the next slide. We have a 6% WACC, which is a discount rate, and 2% terminal growth rate. And eventually we ended up with a intrinsic value of $187.
As for the investment risk, it's pretty simple. Commodity prices, they're tied to gas, coal, and nuclear resources, and as well as renewable energy transition. They have to be very focused on R&D to be successful, as well as the policy side of it. Ian kind of already stated that it could affect their bottom line, and their ties to AI. It's ultimately like a leverage play on AI. If AI does well, then Vistra will do well. As for management and government, James A. Burke is the CEO as of right now. He has a lot of experience in the energy industry and Vistra previously. Its shareholder structure is pretty typical of your blue chip stock. It has the major institutional investors and individual investors, and its board consists of 11 board members with a mix of executive and independent members, and there are no major red flags in their corporate governance. For ESG, their environment, Ian kind of already stated their project is Vistra Zero, and they're trying to reduce their carbon output. And in society, they promote programs for charitable giving and local community contribution, and as well as DEI in the workplace. For their corporate governance, their CEO's executive compensation is tied to ESG performance, so they are promoted to fulfill these projections. Overall, we recommend Vistra as a buy for these key reasons.
Thank you for your time, and have a good day.